Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to be working on the floor. You don't need any special equipment, just a space on the floor that's comfortable. And we're going to be taking a look at the rotation of the legs. Yesterday we did wringing out the neck and shoulders. And today we're going to do the same for the lower body. And it's going to be a very relaxing class. We're going to move very slowly. It's going to be a little bit of mindful movement. The series I'm going to show you, well, it's not an exact copy, but it is from the work by Thomas Hanna called Somatics. And these are some of my favorite exercises for my lower body and also my lower back. I really feel every time I do these, my standing and walking is noticeably better afterwards. So hopefully we'll have the same experience today. Okay, so let's just dive right in. So we're going to start basically laying flat. And we're going to build up these movements in the lower body. Okay, we're going to start with just one leg, and we're going to practice the movement on one leg. And we're going to do it 2 or 3 times on each leg and go back and forth. Okay, so I'll walk you through it. The first movement is this external movement of the leg. Okay, moving it up to here and back down. And then resting completely. So every time we do the movements in the series, after the movement, you need to release all tension in the body. You need to go back down to baseline 0. It's important to take the rest period of total relaxation so that the brain can process the information you just gave it. These are the muscles I'm turning on. This is them relaxing, and now you have time to process that. If you don't take the rest period and you rush through the exercises, you're not going to get the same results. Okay? So the first movement is this external rotation movement. Let's break it down joint by joint. The foot's going to sickle and turn inwards while the leg rotates outwards. And then we're going to slide the foot up. It's about 1 inch off the floor while trying to drop the knee downwards in this direction. Okay? So we come up to about here. And then you just do the same movement in reverse, back down, and 0 tension. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to do that 4 times on each leg. Okay, here we go. Starting with one leg. Moving slowly, feeling the muscles trying to make this shape. And relaxing. As you move, try to get as clear a picture as you can about what muscles are doing what, and also what the hip and low back are doing. Do you notice here that the hip on the straight leg actually comes up off the ground a little bit? You may not notice it until you release all tension at the end and you'll feel the pelvis drop back into place. See if you can feel it during the movement. Okay. The right side of my lower back actually arches slightly as I move the leg. It should happen naturally in the body. You only need to bring some awareness to it. Full release. And now we go one more time on this leg. Nice and slow and easy. I feel all kinds of funny tensions. Releasing completely. Right, during that exercise, I feel stuff in the hip, inside the ankle, maybe a little bit inside the knee. Okay, struggling to keep the position. Let's move over to the other leg and try this the same here. Whoa, that is sore. Good, relaxing all the way. So this side feels almost painful for me to do. The muscles are very sore, uncooperative. I'm going to give a little bit longer rest period and then go again. And I'm hoping that over time this is going to adjust. Yeah, already much more comfortable. Ooh. And release it. Moving again. Notice how the lower back may or may not want to join into the movement. Releasing all the way. If you pay close attention, you can see that this movement of the leg even affects the rotation in the neck. You can clearly feel that the body does something to help balance the leg. Oh. And releasing all the way. Okay, so that was our external rotation pattern for the legs. Okay, now we're going to work on the internal rotation pattern, which is literally going to be exactly the opposite. So I'm going to go back to my first foot that I started on, and instead of turning it in and rotating out, instead I'm going to turn the foot out and rotate the leg inwards, dropping the knee down and attempting to turn the foot up towards the ceiling. And replacing. You'll probably feel different activation each time you do this. But in terms of sensing the lower back, you want to feel that the same side leg that you're moving, that side of the lower back is arching and working to help turn the pelvis over. So as I move again, rotating in, I let this pelvis come up and pulls up into the lower back. I feel strong contraction in the lower back here. And releasing back to neutral. Okay, now we're going to try to move as slowly and continuously as we can with as little effort as possible. Rolling the leg in, turning the foot out, turning the hips over, feeling the back squeeze. Feeling the relaxation response come afterwards, right? Zero tension resting. Let's do it again, the same leg. Turning the foot out, dropping the knee in. Squeezing the lower back on that side. And releasing all tension. At this point, after doing both rotation sets on one leg and not the other, you may be able to sense in the body that the side we've done more on is starting to feel longer. For me, the left leg feels a lot longer in the body for me right now. So let's go over to the other side and do the internal pattern there. Right, turning the ankle out, dropping the knee in, turning the pelvis over, pulling up through the lower back, and releasing back down. It can be hard to learn the patterns at first, but once you have them down, you want to try to move like you're yawning. Right? You want it to be a smooth, continuous movement towards a squeeze. And releasing the muscles you just activated. Full rest at the bottom. Zero tension. Right, here we go again. Twisting through the spine to try to get that foot to turn upwards all the way to the ceiling. And releasing. You may start to notice that you feel the different muscles activating each time you repeat. This is a really great sign that the body is learning the movements. Right? Things that were sore and stuck get out of the way when we give it time to relax. And releasing all the way here. Good, now that we've got the basics of the internal and external pattern, let's practice both of those again. We'll just repeat the whole series we just did. And then we'll start to get into a little bit more complicated patterns where we do external on one side and internal on the other side. Okay, so let's start again. We'll do the internal rotation 3 times each leg. Then the external rotation 3 times each leg, and then the internal rotation 3 times each leg. Okay, here we go, moving again from the first leg. Notice how the movement is much easier the second time around. The body had time to adjust and loosen. Again, you may feel even more different things than the first time. This is great. Releasing all tension, even in the neck and jaw. Moving again through external, scooping the foot in a sickle fashion, dropping the knee, feeling the opposite side back contract, and slowly replacing. Good, one more time on the same side. Moving slowly and carefully, squeezing at the top, and relaxing all the way down. Good, full rest again here. Again, you may notice this leg is getting longer, or that you have more of a sense of the leg you just worked on. And let's take it over to the other side now. Scooping the foot in, dropping the knee, sliding the heel up, squeezing through the opposite lower back. Fully resting at the bottom and repeating the movement. Good, fully resting. On this next repetition, try to use the mind's eye to focus on the lower spine and see if you can really feel the contraction opposite from the leg that we're moving right now. So as I scoop up my right leg, the left side of my spine is going to try to hike this hip up in order to accommodate that rotation. See if you can feel that in your own body. As I scoop up the right foot, drop the knee. Here we go. I feel the left hip comes up, pulling up on the left hip, squeezing the lower back on the left side, and undoing the pattern. Slowly, carefully, and resting completely. Okay, let's move to the internal pattern. So that you can start on either leg, but we're going to do again 3 times each leg, doing the internal rotation pattern. Okay? Here we go. Dropping one ankle to the outside, rolling in. This time, same side back, contracting. Pulling up through this region. And slowly replacing. Full rest at the bottom. And moving again. Pulling up through the spine. And releasing. And moving again. Getting a good squeeze and release. Good, let the body chill out. Okay, we're going to move to the other leg, internal rotation now. Okay, dropping the ankle to the outside, rolling the knee in, lifting through the spine here. Fully releasing. Again, use the mind's eye to really sense the muscles of the lower back. Try to integrate the movement of the legs with the lower back so that in your mind concept they move together. Okay, so we're doing the internal pattern, same side, so we're going to feel the same side lower back tightening and lifting the pelvis up. Moving again, squeezing through the lower back, and releasing. Good, let's get one more internal pattern like that. Moving again. Squeezing through the hips and lower back. And releasing. Great, probably if we stand up now, we will already feel a big difference, but let's just continue on for the sake of time. So we're going to start to combine the patterns. So we're going to move one leg into external and the other leg into internal, just like we were doing with the arms yesterday, right? But in this case, this is going to cause a lot of movement in the body. So we need to keep the shoulders resting on the ground. And I'm going to do the external on this leg and the internal on this leg. So that whole pattern together, remember this one goes this way, this one goes this way. This means when they move together, you can see the feet going, the knees going, and the pelvis turning all the way over. And releasing all the way. It's very important as you try to do this series of movements that you try to monitor the legs as if you were doing the individual movements. You still want to do all the same movements. We're not just doing a basic take the knees and go this way, take the knees and go this way. You need to imagine that you're doing the same patterns, that same internal pattern that was kind of tricky, right? Combined with that external rotation, which is a little bit more straightforward. Okay, so let's do 3 to one way and 3 the other way. Okay, so let's start with the feet together, move the ankles in unison. One pattern external, one pattern internal. Pulling up through the spine and replacing. Full rest at the bottom. Okay, repeating again, the same side. And release. Moving again together. And release. Okay, now we're going to take it to the other side. Right, so the opposite leg's going to drop out. This leg's coming across. Doing both patterns in the mind at the same time. Right, you have to imagine clearly the patterns that you're using in the legs. Don't just move the knees together. Try to make the same individual exercises, but both at once. Okay, here we go to the other side. Dropping the ankles and knees. And releasing completely. Okay, moving again. In unison, the legs. Oh. Good, I got quite a strong contraction in my left inner thigh that time, so I'm going to wait a little bit longer to repeat and just let the relaxation go through the muscles again. Okay, here we go. Feet's coming together, ankles moving together, knees together, dropping. And replace. Excellent. Let's stand up and see how the legs are doing. Okay, see how we feel standing. Okay. Nice. Hopefully you feel what I feel is the legs a little bit more quiet, not trying to figure out where to go. Right there, because we spent both directions so many times, the middle is very obvious to the body now. As you try to walk, you may notice it's easier to travel over the legs. This is because when we walk forwards or any ambulation, there's some element of rotating the pelvis that happens. And what we need to kind of understand conceptually in the hips is that for the pelvis to swivel like this on top of the sticks that are the leg bones, right? Those things need to actually create some element of rotation inside of the hip socket. So as you step and travel over the foot, the back leg actually has to turn internally to allow the pelvis to travel forwards, right? If I were to straighten that out, the leg is kind of like turned in. Let's see if I can demonstrate that more clearly. And so we have the pelvis is going to rotate as we step, right? Shifting this way. This means as I turn away from the back leg, this leg is essentially turning in to allow my hips to rotate. If not, the hips would stay perfectly square and we're left going side to side. Right, so, but instead of when we walk, we actually rotate the pelvis on top of the leg bones. Whereas before, we were just obviously rotating the leg bones inside of the pelvis. So see if you can feel in your walking right now, just around the house, that it should be a little bit easier to travel over the legs, and that the legs are more willing, when you stop, to just be comfortable. You don't feel the need to slouch to one side or look for support somewhere. That as we balance the rotation, usually this makes us more centered. Okay? Good, nice, easy day today. I hope you guys enjoyed that series, the Thomas Hanna book called Somatics, Reawakening the Mind's Control of, I think it's movement, health, and something. It's a long subtitle that I never understood why they added. But it's the book that made me want to become a therapist, and it's also the first set of exercises that I felt permanently changed the way I experienced my body. So this slow work like this, the somatic work, I find is like really some of the most special things you can do for yourself. And even today, I didn't think I would get as much out of it because I've done them so many times in my life, but boy, was I surprised. Both my inner thighs were just cramping up. I felt so much tension in the lower back, but I really feel this as you lay there and let it dissipate, get the squeeze and release. I do. I feel a little bit better now. So hopefully this will last, and maybe we'll revisit this next week, okay? So I'll see you all, today's Wednesday, so I'll be on tomorrow at 2 again, okay? Bye-bye.